Hello, this is Lisa Rusczyk
And Donna Murphy.
with the podcast We Are All Psychic. And today we have a rad guest. His name is David. And David, would you like to say hello?
Hey, how are you guys doing? It's nice to meet you. I'm really glad to be here. My name is David Deane Haskell, and I'm coming onto this podcast from Tokyo. So it's tomorrow for me and yesterday for you guys. So yeah, it's
Love
exciting
it.
to be here. Yeah.
It's
I
right
love
now
that.
for me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, fair.
I'm just
That's
kidding. I'm
fair.
just kidding. Donna has a question for you right away, David.
I do,
No.
David. And it's a question that we like to ask all of our guests, even our guests who come back numerous times. And my question is, do you think we're all psychic?
Yeah, that's the ultimate question, which I was giving some thought to because I'm familiar with the podcast, right? And I decided not to try to formulate it before this minute.
Okay.
So I'm going to
Love
give it
it.
to you. You know, I didn't write it out or think about it, but I gave it some thought, but I didn't craft it. So I would say yes. Um, and I don't know. So basically, I'm a spiritual guy. I've been through trauma and recovery. That's what we're here to talk about today. Part of my recovery was a spiritual awakening on a beach not far from here, back in 2020, so about like 6 years ago. And in fact, I was thinking about like maybe I should go down to the beach and do it from there, but I was afraid that the Wi-Fi might not be good enough, you know. So anyway, so I'm not a member of any particular religion, but just I consider myself spiritual. I don't know what God is all about, but I do. I'm prayerful, I'm meditative, and all that stuff. Okay. So if I'm going to believe that, then in my mind, that means anything's possible.
But
So
what do you
that's the
think about
first
our
thing.
intuition? What do you think about our intuition? I mean,
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, totally. That's
yeah.
absolutely a part of it. I think that's a spiritual nature kind of thing.
Mhm.
I I'm extremely empathic, extremely like I absorb emotions, and this is
Yeah.
not always a good thing. It can be a
Right.
very negative thing, and I'm also an introvert. So like when I get in with people, and then somebody's angry or in grief or whatever, it's like I start just really, I need boundaries to keep myself from
Yes.
that. And to me, that's a psychic thing. And another thing is when I encounter somebody who's not right for me. And when I say I try to be, I don't want to say toxic person or bad person or anything like that. But,
Right.
when I'm not in the same alignment, I will get stomach pain. Like I'll get, and sometimes really, really bad stomach distress. And I often ignore it because, like, through my life, I'm like, oh, yeah, my stomach just hurts, but let's go connect with this person who's not good for me,
Always makes my
and
stomach hurt. For
Yeah.
some reason, my
exactly,
stomach's always hurting
exactly.
around this person.
And even
Yeah.
now, I've learned to try to pay attention to that, and
Yeah.
it's not just I ate a bad burrito, it's like that, and it's not that it's not. So that's kind of like a superpower, right? And the other thing, I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I'd bet $1 million that I have it. And
Yeah.
and that too, I think, can be, a real superpower and, borderline, psychic stuff because like,
Depends on
and
how you
another
use
thing,
it. Yeah, how you look at
Yeah.
it. It really does matter how you look at it and how people tell you to
Yes.
look at
totally.
it. You don't have to
And
do it that way.
oh yeah, yeah. And I'm a
Yeah.
big believer in synchronicity too,
Yes.
because I'll tell you, last year I was in right here, I was in Bali, where this picture was taken, and I was feeling lonely because I was doing a digital nomad thing. I was feeling lonely. And I was
Yeah.
sort of, reflecting and praying about, I wish I could, find some friends. And it's really hard in a strange country. And
Hmm.
also find a little work. I play drums. So I was like, it'd be neat if I could go teach some drummer, drum lines and marching drums or something like that. Anyway, I sent out a couple of emails. From that, I got a drum workshop in Bali. But then I got a call from Jakarta, which is the capital of Indonesia. And they were like, we want to fly you
Hmm.
out to Jakarta and do a bunch of drum workshops. Really? Like what, in 4 days? Okay, cool. They flew me to Jakarta. I met a whole bunch of people, including a drumstick company CEO who made me their brand ambassador. We've become great
Wow.
friends.
That's
Wow.
rad.
I
That's
got this, we were
amazing.
traveling all around, a circle of friends, making money, and just the synchronicity of it all. It was incredible because all I did was send out a couple emails and forget about it.
Yeah.
And to me, psychic is a kind of can be a loaded term. You say that and people say, oh, that's not, But I think a lot of it, we are capable of so much when we, really get into it, and including knowing what might be coming soon. Yeah.
The imagination really is for me, the imagination is the key to it somehow. I don't know how, maybe, but I think that our imaginations and you are a writer, listeners and watchers. This is a video on Spotify and YouTube, and Dave is a writer, which is one of the reasons he reached out. And I guess he's given some thought about this, and especially when he was writing his book. So when you were before you tell the listeners and watchers, tease them for a little bit, get them to try to guess what your book's about. But before you wrote the book, and let's say, and after you wrote this book, what would you say was a major difference in the way you thought about the world?
Well, first of all, I've written 6 books so far, and
the main book that you were the one you told me about your
the one we're talking about today is very different from the other 5. So that's a big part of it. Mostly I write fiction. This one is different. So I don't know. I had a ton of, as I mentioned, the spiritual awakening, right? And I dealt with trauma and addiction, drugs and alcohol, people addiction, codependency, all that kind of stuff through most of my life. I was very broken from traumatic stuff that happened when I was really little, and I couldn't make or maintain friendships. I hated myself. I disliked myself. I didn't want to be anywhere near myself. And so it was difficult to get close to me because I didn't want to get close to me. And but I thought if I could just have friends, everything would be okay, rather than befriend myself, get to know myself, figure out why I was really hating this guy who's not such a bad guy, So all that led to finally quitting the drugs and alcohol about 8 years ago, coming up on 8 years ago, 7.5 years. And then starting on a journey of recovery. And there was a lot of inner child work in that, a lot of self-reflection and, getting spiritual, getting prayerful, that kind of thing. And all this, the psychic intuitive stuff, I never really experienced any of that until after I started getting healthy.
Hit you like a hammer, didn't it?
yeah, totally. Did
you ever think that might be why you were muting things down also? Another reason you might have been muting reality a little bit for you. For me, it was like that. When I was younger, I was a heavy drinker. And I was like a 2 bottle of red wine a day drinker at one point for probably about 10 years. And before that, it was like the 18 pack of Bud Light, And then some more maybe every day. But I got out of it. My story is not important, but right now, but I do remember just feeling all the things that you just described, worthlessness, like nobody could possibly stand being around me because I was told that too. So it wasn't just me thinking it. People were telling me that, were people ever telling you this kind of thing about you? Like, you're never going to be happy if you keep doing this and you suck. And basically you hear you suck, is what you hear. I did anyway.
Absolutely. And I can relate to that. I was scapegoated as a kid, and, because I did have a trauma, like the trauma specifically, and this is in the book as well. My mom passed away and I was 4. But I later learned about the tragic circumstances. When I was 9, they told me she had taken her own life, and that caused a really traumatic shock. Yeah,
wow.
They told me when I was 9.
Really young to tell you that.
That's really young to try to take that in.
And it caused a shame attack, which a lot of people don't understand this. If you talk about panic attacks, people understand it, because if a tiger walked in the room, you know what a panic attack feels like, right? You can understand the how it can be dissociated from reality, right? You can be in a panic even though there's nothing to panic about. Same thing with shame. And that's something that hit me when I was 9. This 9-year-old kid, beautiful kid, didn't deserve any of that. It doesn't make any sense. Nothing to be ashamed of. But this was a physiological reaction.
Yeah. What did it feel like? Because some of our listeners might want to know the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. What did it? What is? I don't know personally what an attack like that would be.
Mental, and spiritual. What does it feel like? It feels gross. It feels hard, like a flood of just horrible. Like I have to make this go away. I hate this. And the red, when you feel shame, like if whatever, your clothes fall
I
off at the
feel
beach
hot. I
or
get all
something like
hot. I
that.
feel
Right. You
embarrassed.
get flushed.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different, and I pay a lot of attention to my emotions these days. I've learned to sit with them, even the uncomfortable ones.
Yeah.
And so I can identify it, but a lot of people don't, because it's very uncomfortable, especially at first. It's always uncomfortable, but especially when you're not, so I just get rid of that. What do I have to do to get rid of it?
Make this go away.
Yeah. How do I?
Our first response, I think, is to just try to make it go away and stop as quickly as possible. We don't want to be in it. And we want to push it away, and we want to be out of it.
Yeah. And that's how I felt when I was 9. And that's what I was trying to get away from for decades after that. And so anyway, meanwhile, my caregivers, the adults, were not behaving in a healthy adult way. My dad was an alcoholic. And so like the adults weren't seeing their own shit.
The example was there. My dad was alcoholic too. The example to escape was there. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And they weren't seeing their own behavior and their own shit, but it was easy to scapegoat me. So David's mother passed away. David's having behavioral problems. David's the problem.
You're the problem.
Yeah, Lisa, when you talked about that, like the whole, where did I learn that I was no good? It's not intentional. They weren't bad people.
They just don't want themselves to be that way. So they make it easier.
Exactly.
Unfortunately. And it's your parents. They shouldn't do that, you think, but they don't know. They're just kids too when they have you, really. I
have a daughter. She's 22 now.
Oh, wow.
And we have a wonderful relationship now.
Good.
But when I was drinking and drugging, it was horrible for her. I know how it feels because I'm the child of an alcoholic. And what I put her through, it took years and years to rebuild the relationship. Of course, I regret it. But I was out of control at that time, and I didn't know how to stop.
How'd you figure it out? How did you get to the point where you knew what you were doing and how you were going to maybe possibly get out of this other new situation you had put yourself in, or long-term situation possibly, How did you get out of it? Because I was kind of forced out of it, and I was really grateful that I was forced out of it. I ran out of money. I couldn't drink anymore.
Right.
I mean, that's how little money I had. I had none. I couldn't even buy a beer. So I quit.
Exactly. Well, that's we do get forced out of it. What I feel, my thoughts on addiction, and I also consider my codependency to be another addiction, people addiction, just as much as the substances, right? And again, the book, the Wounded Angels, is all about that too. That's, I would say, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Hang on a second.
Oh, you sound like me, man. I do that all the time. Like, you do watch this podcast or listen to it. I do that like constantly. Right. I forget what I'm talking about. Like, Donna, help him. Donna, help him.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about getting forced out of your, or forced to confront the issue.
Yeah. And so, I think about the thing about addiction is we can't quit until it gets painful enough. So that's why you see,
the relief is so good. The relief is so good, but after a while, it's not needed.
Yeah.
Did that happen to you? Like for me, when I was forced to stop drinking because I didn't have any money, I realized that the reasons I had started weren't there anymore. I didn't have the anxiety. I didn't have the crushing.
The reasons I started were gone. Yeah. The reasons I started were gone a long time before.
Exactly.
But the thing about that is what I was going to say is also not everybody makes it. I lost a cousin to drugs and alcohol. He died at 29. There's a guy that I know in Tokyo who passed away last year. So not everybody gets there. It can kill you. And codependency can kill you too, but slower.
Yes, it can. Yeah.
And you can get addicted to anything. But the thing is, I think we can't, because people try to get people to quit. Like, will you please quit? I couldn't even quit for my daughter. And she was beautiful and she was 14 years old. And that was my rock bottom, was just like, I couldn't even understand, why can't I? Right. Yeah. And it's like, it's impossible to stop until it gets so painful, so, debilitating that you hit that, they call it the rock bottom. Right. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, I'll do anything to stop, what do I have to do? And that's kind of the nature of addiction. And it's, I think addiction is a spiritual malady, as they put it in 12 step.
I think so.
It's something to do with okay, so not to get too into the thing of it, but I think substance addictions and some others and people addictions are two sides of the same coin.
You get oxytocin with people and dopamine with people, and you get dopamine and other GABA and stuff like that from drugs and stuff, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So they're very similar,
Yeah.
but oxytocin's even better than anything, really. Oxytocin, listeners, if you don't know, that's the love hormone. We've talked about that before on the podcast, and that's like the most addictive one of them all, isn't it? When you're like...
Yeah, nothing's more addictive than people. Like getting the
it's really true.
Approval of people, yeah. And that's the imbalance, right? The imbalance it's an ego imbalance, right? Because you've got the overinflated ego. It's like, I'm awesome and you're all pieces of shit and I'm just, the best. And screw all of you. This is like a very overinflated ego thing and this is a spiritual malady, right? You need an ego deflation. You need to realize, your place is a regular person, with flaws. Same thing. And the codependency side often gets on the other side, the real low self-esteem side, where it's like, I'm a worthless piece of shit. Everybody's better than me. I don't understand anything. And so then you start to go and look for people for your own validation. Like if you think everybody's better than you, then anybody can tell you what to do.
Right.
Because then when you do it, and then you feel better because, okay, they told me what to do and I did it. They approve of me. Now I'm okay.
And as long as they keep approving of me, I'll continue to be okay.
Exactly, Donna. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's, Yeah. So anyway, that's what my book is about.
That's right. And like you have the aspect, you're a novelist too, which I love. So I have really kind of a weird question. When I was a writer, I loved writing drunk. Couldn't write sober. But then when I did get sober, I was able to, but I had to figure it out. And then I enjoyed writing a lot more than I'd ever loved it, actually, when I was not wasted. But it was really cool. I'd get some great ideas when I was wasted. Then there were times I'd read it back and be like, what was I doing last night?
Yeah.
Was I just writing circles on my word processor? I don't know what I was doing. Did you have that experience at all with your writing?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a very interesting timeline because at the end there, and I'm 55 years old, so I got some decades in this history book.
I do too. I'm 51, so I've been in the writing field. I was a ghostwriter for a long time and a fiction writer. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we gotta connect on reading our stuff. Yeah. So I wrote my first 4 books drunk. So I published my first book in 2013. Yeah. And the 4th book was 2019. Then I had a 5-year writer's block. And that was when I quit. And the thing is, I was doing all this emotional and spiritual healing, but I couldn't write. And I wanted to. I was really trying to. And I just couldn't. I could, I did journaling or whatever, but that was it. And then so there's that. And there was my first 4 books out there, which were like, oh God, I wrote them drunk. Maybe they're horrible. I've gone back and revisited. I did 2 second editions a couple of months ago. That my second book and my third book are now refreshed. I'm going to refresh the first one as well. The 4th one I'm pretty proud of. That was in the middle when I was quitting. So I went back and fixed some of that because you can. And I kept them. They're still on sale and I'm proud of them. But that's my early history. And then 2024, like right around New Year's, I was just able to write again. And one of the first things I wrote was the nonfiction, was Wounded Angels, the inner child book. And I was like, oh God, nonfiction? I don't want to write that crap. I don't want to be, I don't want to be a guru or whatever. But I continued writing the fiction as well. And I published my 6th book, The Solarian Deep, which is a sci-fi book. Published that this year, and I've got another fiction book and another nonfiction that are coming out this year. So
that's amazing. You must be really prolific.
That's wonderful.
You've always been that prolific, or is it more so since you've cleared up your?
Prolific. I don't write that fast. I just have so much material that I need to polish up. It's like
so you got a lot of backlog, so you can work with. Yeah.
I cool. Literally, I want to do new stuff, but I could literally spend the rest of my life like fixing up what I have. I've got millions of words on this computer here.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Some of it's garbage. A lot of it's garbage, but some of it's really, diamond in the rough kind of stuff. And I've been publishing short stories too on Substack. All the old stuff I wrote when I was drunk.
Well,
this one's pretty good.
Let listeners know where you are on Substack. Where are you on Substack? I mean, I haven't really played with it a whole lot, but I get it emailed to me, and I love the emails. I don't really understand the application itself yet.
Oh, right. Yeah. You don't have to, right? You just have to hit post,
right?
Emails. And you're okay.
Hit post. I love it.
Yeah. But the Substack, it's really, so my name's David Deane Haskell, and there's a reason I go with the full name. There is another David Haskell who's a writer, and he's a Pulitzer Prize winning biologist. Oh. And I can't compete with this guy. It's like if you type in David Haskell writer or whatever, he's going to come up. I'm never going to Google him. I'm screwed. So I'm going to do my full name, David Deane Haskell, and that's my website. It's daviddeanehaskell.com. The middle name spelled with an E. Awesome. Really easy. And the Substack is David Deane Haskell Stories at Substack. So I made it pretty easy to find me as long as you know my name.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if they know his name, they'll know your name. That's good.
Well, someday I hope that, I'm kind of, who knows, if I get a bestseller going on there, maybe I'll pass them. But
a little competition and you get to meet and have coffee and hey, man, I had the name first. Or did you really? Did you have the name first?
Oh, yeah. I got to find his age. Yeah. I wonder if he's older than me.
It depends on
seniority, right?
Yeah, right.
The thing about
find out his age. I'll find it out maybe if I think about it and put it in the description out of curiosity for all y'all listeners and watchers.
Yeah.
So I do have John Donna, do you have any questions? I kind of want to pick his brain about one more thing, but do you have any questions for David?
I would say if there's anything for our listeners and watchers, for our audience, especially if some of them are struggling with some of the same issues, does everybody have to reach rock bottom before they can start really on the road to true recovery, to complete recovery? Is there a place to start where maybe you're not at rock bottom, but maybe you're wondering about whether or not you want to wait until you get there before you make a change?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. I think rock bottom as a term sounds like, homeless, out of money, like Lisa was. I was a hermit for 11 years, which was horrible. But I think everybody's rock bottom is different. Mm-hmm. So you could decide today, all right, I'm at rock bottom. I'm not happy with my life. My life is.
And you're right. It really matters what rock bottom is for each person. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like if I've been thinking about this for a while. It wasn't rock bottom when I
quit. It wasn't rock bottom. I was not at rock bottom. I just had run out of money at the moment. My husband had lost his job and I wasn't working at the time. I think was what's going. I was learning to make jewelry. And so I started selling jewelry and that's how I got money to buy more wine again, but I didn't because I was happier without it. For the first time in my life, I was happier without being drunk constantly than before. But it was a lot of spiritual healing, a lot of physical healing, oddly, and a lot of emotional healing. And I had a lot of upbringing, being told being told one thing and hearing another thing, I guess you could say. Not good enough is what I always heard, but that wasn't what was said. It was hopeless, helpless, thoughtless. That was what I heard. But I heard not good enough. You're not good enough to be loved. So I drank that away for a few years, for 2 decades, and then I just said, I love myself more than they could, is what I kind of got to. I'm more independent and I like who I am because of how they treated me, kind of, because I got through it and worked through it. But man, when I was in those dark days of drinking really hard and then some of the shame that you talked about, that's why I asked what it felt like. With alcohol and drug abuse, a lot of times when it's abused that severely to where you're hurting yourself and other people, involuntarily, you're not meaning to, but when you realize, for me, when I realized I might be doing that, it's like, wow, that shame is almost kind of like the root of the addiction because that's what keeps you back to it, like you had said before.
Actually, I got to send you guys something because we can put it up if you want to put it in the show notes. There's something called an addiction tree. Yeah, there's a graphic called an addiction tree, and the root is shame.
Okay, if you send that to me through an email, I'll put it over the screen right now, listeners. You might be looking at it. If he does that, we make it work. I'll do that.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff to to get back to the question from Donna is, that's the kind of stuff you can look at after a while. Like, you don't need to worry about that shit on day one. On day one, if you just want to make a change, and you can be addicted to anything: food, sex, gambling, people, emotions. I'll tell you one thing about my dad. What?
Emotional shopping is my addiction.
Yeah.
Shopping. Oh my God. Yeah.
Emotional shopping. If I'm upset about something, I will buy something.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
right now I'm like a coffee guy. Like, I'm like, but the thing is, coffee's not ruining my life.
Right.
No,
it's
no
relatively, it's a relatively benign
if,
addiction.
Yeah. If it was, then I mean, it could be for some people.
Sure.
And so I talk about the difference sometimes between like addiction, but I had a full-blown drug and alcohol addiction. I also had a full-blown people addiction with codependency. Both of those had to be really addressed in a spiritual way, with help, with peers and all that kind of stuff. I did 12-step for, it's an anonymity thing, so I don't come on to talk about 12-step, but it helped me a lot. You can always grab their book and, read some of that stuff. The Codependence Anonymous book talks about inner child a lot, and it's really good. So, there's all that stuff. But then you don't have to worry about that on day one. Like if something's kind of ruining your life and you realize, because we can be delusional and think, oh, well, shit, alcohol is the only good thing in my life. Everything else sucks, and the alcohol is good.
I've been like that. I was like that. Yeah.
And then but when the delusion lifts, and then you go, wait a minute, this is the thing that's fucking everything else up. Pardon my French. But
that dude was fucking it up. Yeah.
I remember I had a moment.
They're making me drink more on purpose. That's what they do sometimes, those codependent relationships. They want you to stay drinking because that's how the relationship works for them.
Sometimes.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Definitely. That's a manipulative kind of thing. Keep you.
It happens.
I want you to stay unhealthy so I can stay unhealthy.
So that,
right. And this is, again, and Lisa, you said this before, but not nobody. Some people are really bad actors. Some people are really evil predators. These kinds of things. I was on a podcast yesterday, and they talked about, there was a woman who was brought into a relationship, and then he stole all her money and her business and stuff. So, there are, there's some people that
there are people who are intentionally,
really, that's a different, I don't talk about those people. I'm not an expert on that. As get help in that case. Luckily, I never met any real bad actors, but I did meet a lot of unhealthy people like me. And like, okay, well, you be my controller and I'll be compliant, and we'll have this commander subordinate thing. And we all did our dance. And then it was like, well, what's wrong with David? He's like blowing up again. He's all frustrated again. And the thing I realized about codependent relationships is it's never a one-way street. Codependent relationships are a mutual thing. Even if it seems like one person is cuckoo and the other person's really just beleaguered, I don't believe it. Everybody's doing their little part.
I agree with you. You never know what's going on in a relationship.
I think energetically, the only way the two can come together is there has to be something not healthy, but complementary that's happening.
Yes.
Because there's a reason it's called codependence. And it's because it does take two.
Yep.
So there's that dynamic. I'm
a big believer in water seeks its own level. You ever read that?
Yeah.
And the weird thing, and I've seen this too, I have, I know a lot of people going through similar stuff. And the weird thing is when one person starts to get healthy and the other one was seemingly the strong one, or seemingly like, they talk about the Al-Anon, the enabler.
Yes.
And Lisa said this like kind of flips out, like the person quits drinking or quits eating or whatever the addiction, and the enabler loses their position,
identity.
Yeah, they lose their identity. It's like, who am I now? Yeah,
they've lost their addiction, their connection.
Yeah.
And then that's when they kind of go cuckoo, and then you start to see, and it's again, it's a sad thing. It's not, and sometimes people get well together. And that's beautiful. If everybody's open-minded, you can. But then the relationships that I've had that were unbalanced like that, that I was desperately afraid to lose, they're all gone.
Yeah.
Mine too.
All of them. And it's, and I love these
But you have
people.
new people, right? Now you have new people in your life, though,
I
right?
have new people, but I also have people that were with me back then that we grew together.
Very
and
good.
then the relationship
Very good.
bridged. And it's not, and I don't, there's one woman who was a great friend of mine. She passed away, sadly. She had cancer in her 40s. So she just ran out of time. But I wish we had, that's one, I'm sad about that because I think if we'd have had time and we could have looked at things and had a healing conversation or two and, things might have got better. But that case was that case. But the other, there's not that many, but couple. If the healing conversation became possible.
I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you. I'm teasing you. I said the other 500 women I dated.
No, not that many. I do have an ex. Well, it's interesting though, because actually I came out around the time that I quit drinking. So I'm gay, but I was married.
The other 500 men,
okay. Either or, right? But I got divorced in 2024.
Okay.
And
did you know?
I told
your identity kind of all the way
he was
around.
aware that I was bisexual and that sort of thing. But anyway, that aside, that relationship was so broken and sad and toxic, and we divorced at the end of 2024, but we should have divorced years before. But as I said, I do have a daughter out of that, and the weird thing about that is I had thought I was the problem and she was just putting up with me. But at the end there, when I started finally resolving, okay, yes, I do agree we should divorce, I'm going to leave, she started hanging on tighter and saying, oh, maybe not yet. Maybe we should wait. And I was like, and I was the one who was like, no, let's do it, which was weird. It was weird because for years she was telling me, look, we need to end this.
Yeah.
Right. But the reason I brought it up is, and then I went traveling for 2025. I was in Southeast Asia, Vietnam, and Indonesia, and Thailand. Came back to Japan in March. So it's over a year since we divorced. And both our dads passed away last year, too. Her dad and my dad both passed. Well, they were older.
But still, though, to lose them both in the same year.
Yeah. And then my daughter asked me if I wanted to go with my ex-wife to her dad's grave. Mm-hmm. And I said, does she want to? And she said that was a nice idea. So a few weeks ago, all of us went there and we went and had coffee and had a real healing moment. It was much nicer than any encounter we've had in years.
Yeah.
And it was a real full circle thing. And I've been writing the follow-up inner child book, which started with my divorce. I've been writing it for over a year. And I realized 3 weeks ago, the book just ended.
Yeah.
Because we had this, I was okay. I don't have to write it anymore.
You have the ending for your book. Yeah, that's really cool, man. And you started writing without that.
A healthier ending. And, and I, for a while, I hated her. I wanted, she's harmed me so badly. And, it took a lot of emotional healing, but I don't have anything but affection for her. I wish her well. I wish for her happiness. And I sense that she's starting to feel that way about me too. And so these kinds of things, even when, it is possible to heal, but it takes time and it's not easy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So at this point, David, I guess I'd love to ask where the listeners and watchers can find you and your books and find this book in particular, all your novels. Where are you on the internet other than Substack? Tell us where you are.
Yeah, so all my books are available on Amazon. This one we're talking about, the inner child book, is called Wounded Angels. And you can find it on Amazon. But the easiest thing to do is go to my website, daviddeanehaskell.com. It's my name's right down there. And you should be able to see it, and we can put it in the notes. And all my books are, go to the website. You can sign up for my newsletter, which is the Substack. You can get fiction, nonfiction for free, and I give away a free book as well, one of my fiction books.
Nice.
So the website's the best place to go, daviddeanehaskell.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll put that in the listeners. I'll put that in the
Yes.
description of the podcast notes. And so
Thank
you
you.
can just click on clicky, go on through
Yes.
all his goody stuffs. And right now, I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. I am Lisa Rusczyk, and I am out on my sky deck with that bird that just flew by, and Donna and David. And I'm also the advisor on Everclear under that name.
Yeah. And I'm also an advisor on Everclear. You can find me under the name, same as here, Donna Murphy.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Donna. I haven't had too many people come to me as a reader with substance abuse issues saying I need healing from that, and it's usually a very religious approach people take, or some kind of religious or spiritual approach people take to healing from alcoholism or any kind of addictions. And it's interesting that I think about that. I just never have, as a professional in the field, had someone come to me with that particular issue and saying, help me. I would love to help people with that. I think that'd be a beautiful job for a psychic reader, intuitive empath, anybody like that, to help people with that stuff. Just kind of pressed my mind, David. I was just thinking about that because really, the first time I got in trouble for drinking, I was told I was a drunk, and I was like, no, I'm not. I've got sick. I'm sick all the time. I'm trying not to be sick. That was the truth. But they did tell me to take like the outpatient classes and stuff. And I did learn like a lot of, I guess now, what I would call spiritual approaches to things, mindfulness therapy, stuff like that, just from those classes I took, and I use a lot of that stuff that I learned young through situations I didn't really think I needed to be in, but they helped me, and they helped me in the future with people not in particularly addiction situations, but maybe a toxic relationship situations, exactly. Very similar energy, where you don't want to be involved, but you can't help it. You can't get away, but you can, but you can't, you can, but you can't, you can, but there's that dance. And eventually you dance away, right? Or you fall. Boom. You don't win the dance contest. But and it's unfortunately a lot of people do not. And I think if they could just reach out to somebody, everybody, just say to somebody, hey, look, I just want to say this one time. Nobody has to tell me anything. I just want to say I'm worried about myself. Listeners, I didn't ask you for this advice, David, but I'm just giving some advice to listeners and watchers. Like if you are in that space and you don't know if you want help or not, just if you have somebody that you can trust and just say that to, and they listen to you and they don't ask you to do anything about it, tell people how you feel if you have that shame, is what I would say. What about you, David, for that shame? What kind of advice would you give to get that worked out?
Exactly that. I would say find someone that you trust. Yeah, I like the phrase trust those who are trustworthy. Because you can't trust everybody, and you have to, if you find somebody that's been through similar stuff, and that sort of thing, and there is help out there. There's support groups, 12-step groups, whatnot, therapy. If you're really in deep, then get help. That's the hardest thing. People are, so oh my God.
Because most people have not wanted to help you for a long time if you're in that position. Right.
I know. It's like I went back and told some of my friends, like, I think, I'm quitting, and they're like, good, you should, you were out of control. And I was like, oh, really? I thought I wasn't that bad, but
you forget a lot. Yeah.
And the same thing with the code. Again, I keep talking about the codependency, but it was just as much an addiction.
I agree with you.
And that was hard. That was came 3 or more years later after I quit drinking and drugs, because I was like, I can't get I need that. If I don't have,
how did you find your own worth then? That's a really good question for our listeners and watchers. How did you find your own worth and outside of a relationship and then within it? How could you do that? How did you? It takes time, I imagine. But was there an aha moment, or was there a process or anything to that?
Well, that's exactly. Not to pitch the book too much, but Wounded Angels is exactly what I did, because I wrote it in real time. I was doing, so inner child work is a lot of how I found to like and love myself. Because like I was hating the 11-year-old version of me, or the 8-year-old version of me. What a little piece of shit. I hated him. And it's like, wait a minute, that's a kid. Like if I met another 8-year-old kid,
you would never, you would never be that way.
Condemn that child in a million years, right? But I couldn't look back on myself with love because those traumatized inner facets of me were frozen in the and not unseen, unheard. So the inner child work, and there are techniques to doing it. And again, this is, to me, like we're talking about spirituality and psychic stuff. This is a spiritual practice, I think, too. And you could do it with a healer as well. I met a shaman in Thailand that we talked a lot about this stuff. She was amazing. We did Reiki and all this stuff. And anyway, I didn't want to write it, but like I started writing as I was doing it. So you can see how it felt for me by reading like chapter after chapter, is like me connecting with these different facets that were traumatized. And so that was it, like little by little. I had to, and then sometimes facing the adult stuff, especially like stuff that I was really ashamed of or people that I really harmed, you got to look at that. And that's so painful.
It's hard to do.
And it's really hard to do. And even now, like at first you have to look at it and you just feel like crap and you're not going to feel okay quickly. But like now years down the road, I've been doing this work for coming up on 8 years.
Yeah.
I can look back and be like, I did that. And I don't really feel anything. I don't feel like proud of it, but I don't feel ashamed of it. I don't feel any particular emotion about it.
It's just there. It's just like thing happened.
I did what I could to rectify it. That's when I did actual harm. And we all do actual harm.
Sure.
Intentionally or not intentionally. Those are the kinds of things you got to go back. You got to go back and rectify that. That's scary too.
Find where the misunderstanding is if it wasn't on purpose. There's usually a misunderstanding somewhere in what we were taught or what someone was teaching us,
Well, yeah. Because I mean, if you accidentally knock a kid over when you're walking, you didn't do it on purpose, but you still got to take care of the kid.
They still got hurt, and you still have to help them back up.
Right, and maybe pay for the medical bill if they
and do something
to it's your responsibility
to rectify the situation.
Exactly. Yeah. So that too. Yeah.
We do have, I guess, one last question for you at the end of the podcast. Donna, do you want to ask him the last question that we might have?
Sure. This is another question we ask all of our guests, and it is: do you love our listeners and watchers?
I do. I can't wait to hear from them. I really want to. I hope there's comments and stuff. I'm like, I'll be in on it.
Listeners. So many spiritualists, so many people on this path, in and out, around it, kind of thinking about it. We've all been addicted to something or hooked on something that we thought would be better than our own lives. Oh, yeah. Right. But we found out some. I hope all of us find out our own lives are better than anything that has control over us, whatever it may be.
Whatever that might be. Yeah.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you, listeners and watchers.
It's been a real pleasure meeting you. I hope that we'll see you again soon and that you'll come back on the show sometime.
I hope so too.
It's been just a real pleasure getting to know you and hearing your story. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you. You guys are great. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I loved it. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody. Peace out. Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.